I just smashed my toe against the leg of a table and I'm still in less pain than Nintendo Bros right now after $90 Mario Kart. This is why they need to put Wario in charge. He'd get people locked into your product. Sell your 50 million consoles first, then give everyone's buyer's remorse a year later. And hopefully by then, GTA has already released $100, and Nintendo can look like the good guys at 80. No brakes on this one, they went right in. Not an ounce of humility to be found, and in an industry where games constantly change on release, put in ads or microtransactions later on, have day one censorship patches, or otherwise obfuscate through marketing what the game's actually gonna be. The biggest surprise is not finding out game prices finally went up. The biggest surprise is they let us know before they even had console pre-orders. So while the internet burns over the price hike, my cynicism has me in the more positive frame of mind. This could have been the industry's biggest bait and switch. Alright, no need to clap. Yes, it was Nintendo directly in the bin, as they have been already completely lost. The next generation and will be filing for bankruptcy as gamers make it clear this will not stand. If you're gonna sell us a $90 game, Nintendo, at least have the sense to sell us a $60 peasant edition with half the content cut out like Ubisoft. Unless, of course, we buy it, in which case, grats on the new yachts. Gamers, the right price is the price you pay. We need to accept this reality, no matter how much backlash Nintendo gets over this. If the console is out of stock for 3 years and Mario Kart sells 30 million copies, like it or not, the gamers have spoken. 2024 got a full industry roasting as modern games for modern audiences aren't even worth the current price. Last year I picked up Metaphor because they gave me a 6-hour demo to see if I wanted to buy it, rather than having to rely on the lies of some corporate journalists. Elden Ring DLC, they're called From because whether it's rent, insurance, medical bills, or a jewelry heist gone wrong, when they make a game I am finding the money from somewhere. Stellar Blade lets you earn the costumes by playing the game on the backhand. Childhood Shaping God studio that made Dragon Age, Mass Effect, The Old Republic, and Neverwinter Nights. I waited for Veilguard to be free on the PSN, and I still felt ripped off. Last month, media spread the story that the industry could only be saved by GTA for $100. Mario Kart World is going to be one of the top played games for the next 7 years. It's not some 30-hour cinematic game, and if we want to be lame and think about how we spend our money logically, consider if annual release games like FIFA or NBA, you paid $100, and you got 2025 through 2030 with a $20 player pack each year for all the annual changes. That would be the best a sports gamer would feel about their purchase in decades. Thankfully, EA and 2K are there to humble those sports gamers and will never allow the elusive sports nerd to feel anything but shame and poverty. The likes of Mario Kart, Elden Ring, GTA, if it's at $90 or $100, players are still gonna grab it. Even for a high quality, enjoyable Metroid, Donkey Kong, Kirby, however, is a one-time playthrough going to be worth that price? Nintendo is famous for doing their own thing. They never seem to care much what anyone else in the industry is doing, and that benefited them with the Switch when Sony Soft and Microsausage were racing to the bottom. With games being more expensive to make, inflation, and Nintendo largely retaining quality and acclaim, it was inevitable that prices would go up too. Heck, even low-quality games like AC Shadows, Kill the Justice League, and Concord are costing $200 million or more to make. On the other hand, most people are feeling a crunch, as salaries have not risen to match, and with everything being more expensive, most people are left with far less spending money. And this may make a very paradoxical feeling for some of us. If you bought a PlayStation 1 or 2 game when you were a kid, or maybe your first system was a bit later or a bit earlier, the game would have felt much more like a sizable purchase. When I bought Final Fantasy Tactics, it was like spending a dragon's treasure trove. Well, buying a game today is just a day or two's work. The current price is clearly far less. However, even though it is less, it now feels worse. And this might not sound like it makes sense, but there is a reason for it. The anxiety over every last penny back then was far lower. Today it feels like every last scrap needs to go to just staying alive for so many people. There's a constant squeeze as everything simultaneously is costing more but giving poorer and poorer services. There's a frustration in seeing the percent going just to bills, rent, and food rising just a little bit of your overall salary every single year. Like you're working harder, but holding on to less of what you earn. Of course, not all of you are in that situation, but from conversations over game prices over the past few years, this seems like a very common sentiment lately. To put it another way, buying a $100 game when rent is 30% of your salary is going to feel much better than buying a $50 game when rent is 60% of your salary. This is not necessarily even Nintendo's fault, and while there are fingers to be pointed, the focus here is entertainment, not fixing the economy. Paying more to own less? Ubisoft loves to say, you need to get used to not owning your games. There is a concerted effort to have us not own anything at all. Temporary streaming services, digital-only games. And right out the gate, there's going to be physical games, which are just a code on a cart. We already had games that were a code in a box, and even collector editions these days, they don't even come with a physical game. The last real physical games we're going to be seeing, it looks like they're going to be $10 more than digital, so physical, sadly, may be on its last legs. But overall, a price rise has been edging us for multiple generations by now. And finally, we get the release and the disappointment that comes with it. Will the rest of the industry follow? Will GTA take it even further? With AA and indie at their best right now, the silver lining is the cost of AAA could be to their benefit. For me, the Super Switch 64 is just off the table. That 1080p and ability to voice chat really seem tempting. It's so good for Nintendo to finally get a system that can compete with the Bill Gates 360. You're gonna have to do a lot better than that though to get me even moderately interested in the Switch 2. There is nothing that's gonna get me paying $450 to own a $90 game machine that can barely run Skyrim. Not today, Mario, you fat Italian fuck. You can pry my wallet from... easiest pre-order of my life.